Hey everybody, Spacewizard here. It's been more than a week since Whispers of the Old Gods was released, and we now have a pretty good grasp on what minions from the set are good and bad on curve. So I've updated my Forbidden Shaping statistics, which you can view by following this link. In this video, I'll be going over how these stats have been affected by all the new cards from Whispers of the Old Gods. To clarify, these statistics are for standard only, and are categorized by minion quality, going in order of best to worst, starting with top tier minions and ending with below average minions. Starting off with the 1 mana spot, it's gone from a 74 to a 71% chance of summoning an average or better minion. While this isn't an especially significant change since your percent chance of getting a solid minion for 1 mana was already pretty high, it should be noted that the quality of the above average minions you can pull for 1 mana has been the most significantly impacted with cards like Fiery Bat and Possessed Villager. Next up, the 2 mana minions have gone from a 51 to a 53% chance of summoning an average or better minion. Now while this might not appear to be a very significant change at first, this is actually a fairly substantial buff, as your chances of summoning a top tier minion have gone from 5 to 7%, while your chances of summoning a below average minion have gone from 49 to 47%, with above average and average minion rates staying exactly the same. Furthermore, the quality of below average minions has been slightly increased, with cards like Nat the Darkfisher and Duskboar, which at the very least should give you a solid presence on the board. Next, the 3 mana spot has gone from a 64 to a 63% chance of summoning an average or better minion. This is by far the least affected of all the mana spots for Forbidden Shaping, so I don't really have much to say on it. Something of interest is that there were no top tier 3 mana minions in the whole Whispers of the Old Gods set, although this only affected your chances of receiving one by 1%. Moving on to the 4 mana spot, this has gone from a 57 to a 59% chance of summoning an average or better minion. Much like the 2 mana spot, this change is deceptive in how good it really is. The most significantly impacted category for 4 mana is the top tier minions, which have gone from a 6% to a 9% chance of being summoned, with below average minions going from a 43 to a 41% chance of being summoned. You're going to be seeing cards like Infested Wolf and Zero Poison Mind far more often when you cast Forbidden Shaping for 4 mana, and if you're lucky, you can even pull a Flame-Wreathed Faceless from it without incurring its overload cost, which will more than likely win you the game on the spot. At the 5 mana spot, we can see one of the biggest changes with a 43 to a 48% chance of summoning an average or better minion. The main thing to focus on here is the change in your chance of summoning an above average minion from 9 to 14%. Whispers of the Old Gods introduced lots of minions with solid stat lines such as Corrupted Healbot and Usher of Souls that help to offset the large amounts of 5/4s, 4/5s, and 5/5s that make up the majority of the 5 mana pool. It should also be noted that the 5 mana spot received another excellent top tier minion in Halaziel the Ascended, which is an especially excellent outcome in Control Priest decks that can use him to heal to full with their many AoEs. Moving on to the 6 mana spot, we've gone from a 49 to a 43% chance of summoning an average or better minion. This is the first of the 2 mana spots that see a really big negative difference with the addition of cards from Whispers of the Old Gods. The only solid cards that got added were Dark Arakoa and Scarum Cultist, while below average minions such as Corrupted Seer and Nerubia Prophet flooded the pool. Next is the 7 mana spot, which has gone from a 60 to a 55% chance of summoning an average or better minion. This change doesn't hurt quite as much as the change to the 6 mana spot, since you're still favored to summon something average or better, but it should be noted that there were no top tier minions added to the 7 mana pool in Whispers of the Old Gods, which decreased your chances of summoning one from 15 to 11%. At the same time, however, once you start reaching the higher mana costs for Forbidden Shaping, the quality of the below average minions increases noticeably, with the worst things you can summon for 7 mana being stuff like Twin Emperor Velclor and Malkarok. At the 8 mana spot, we've gone from a 100 to a 94% chance of summoning an average or better minion. The only real change here is that the 8 mana pool got its first bad outcome with the Boogie Monster. You are still overwhelmingly favored to summon something great when you cast Forbidden Shaping at 8 mana, making it by far the best time to cast it. Moving on to 9 mana, this has gone from an 81 to a 79% chance of summoning an average or better minion. Once again, not much of a change to this spot due to the low number of 9 mana minions added to the game in this set. Sagoth is one of the best top tier outcomes you can pull, while Blade of Cthulhu is by far the worst below average outcome you can pull. And lastly, the 10 mana spot, which has gone from a 75 to a 60% chance of summoning an average or better minion. The big change here was the inclusion of the Old Gods, Cthulhu, N'Zoth, and Yogg-Saron, which all have incredibly low base stats for their cost. However, Deathwing, Dragonlord, and Y'Shaarj were added to the top tier minions, which helps balance things out. So with these changes, the tier list for Forbidden Shaping's different mana costs going from best to worst goes a little something like this. 8 mana first, since it has by far the highest chance of summoning a solid minion. 9 mana, since it has the second highest chance of summoning a solid minion. 1 mana because it has many top tier minions that can be used to easily fill out your curve and contest the board. 3 mana for the same reasons as 1 mana, albeit with lowered odds. 4 mana since its top tier outcomes are all incredibly strong and stand to win you the game on their own. 7 and 2 mana are practically interchangeable. 5 and 6 mana are straight up poor choices for Forbidden Shaping because they're the only cost at which you're unfavored to summon something solid. And 10 mana comes in dead last even though it has a 60% chance of summoning you something average or better because you could just as easily use your hero power on yourself and cast Forbidden Shaping at 8 mana instead. It should be noted, however, that if you just need raw stats on the board, a la Deathwing or Faceless Behemoth, then it's actually preferable to cast Forbidden Shaping at 10 mana rather than 8 mana. That's it for this week's video, guys, but don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll be back next week with another new video, but until then, you can check out Hearthhead.com or either of its social media pages for all sorts of Hearthstone-related content. See you next time, everybody.